Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Morning, Sam.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, very, very, very well. Yeah. You?
Yeah, fine. So that's it then. No snide comments. No funny silliness that you normally greet me with.
Well, same could be said of you. I mean, there's normally some little quip or some little whimsical comment, and so nothing then.
No.
Oh, right.
I mean, do you know what? I think I probably know why it is actually.
Why is that then?
Well, we started this podcast because we weren't seeing very much of each other, and we wanted to keep in contact, and obviously it just grew to what it is now. And most weeks we sort of come on and it'll be like, oh, I haven't seen you for a week or two or whatever, or what have you been up to since we last spoke? Right now, I can't bloody get rid of you, mate.
I see. I do agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I'm beginning to get slightly bored of you almost.
Oh, that's charming. But
no, I lie, Sam. No, but it has been very joyous seeing you as often. It's been great fun. Really good.
We've been very lucky. I mean, work is particularly in certain sectors has kicked back in like real sort of full on, and we've been incredibly busy and fortunate enough to be incredibly busy working together quite a lot. I mean, our normal setup would be that I'd ask you what you've been up to, but primarily I know what you've been up to because I was there with you. So
yes.
Our wonderful trip to Wales.
I know. And I mean, this is no slight on the Welsh, but it didn't rain that much either, did it? It was actually quite pleasant.
No, it's very odd. We went to a different country where it's always raining and it didn't rain.
There we go.
But
it was a good night, wasn't it? It was very good show.
It was. And do you know what? I mean, I've done a few other things since we did that. A rather exciting photo shoot for something that's coming later in the year, which I can't talk about yet, but hopefully I'll be able to reveal a few more details of very soon. And I've done another immersive dinner show yesterday since we did our trip to Wales and our show in Wales.
Lovely.
I mean, I know you've had a slightly different week in that you've been working on new things rather than performing things that you've done before.
I've had quite a static week because I'm doing the preparation line learning for One Man, Two Governors, which is great fun, and prepping for that. And I'm also writing for a little one night concerts. Say concert because it's for the Club for Artists and Actors, but used to be known as the Concert Artists Association. It's a club that I belong to in town in Soho, and as it says, it's a club for artists and actors, and once a month they have a variety night, and all their members are working actors or old variety artists, but they're retired. So there's a wealth of knowledge, and whenever you stand up there and do something, it's like I'm in front of my peers, and these people have been in the business twice as long as me. So I'm writing a little character for the show. I'll tell you more as it develops, but that's in a week or so's time. So I'll tell you all about that. But I've been sitting learning lines and writing lines, so that's what I've been doing.
To more details on said character. I mean, it's interesting because what I was going to say before I managed to sidetrack myself a bit. You mentioned variety acts, which they are Ronseal style. Other kinds of fence paint are available, but does what it says on the tin. Variety act is exactly that, something that is varied, something that's a bit different. Sometimes that'll be one person who does multiple things. Sometimes it'll be a collection of people doing what they do best, but brought together. I suppose very much like Britain's Got Talent or I was going to say X Factor. X Factor's not right because they're all singers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Britain's Got Talent is very much a competition for variety acts, where you've got different people doing their thing. Whereas, as we've mentioned before, I suppose we are variety acts in that we do lots of different things to keep, number one, to keep us busy and to keep us working and to earn some money, but also because it keeps us entertained and it makes our jobs interesting and varied. Varied variety. I know that's
it's using different skills, isn't it, and different strengths to our bow. But I mean, it's also nice from the point of view that we do have that I say that luxury. It's a treat that we do get chance to work on different stuff. You know, I mean, you know, I mean, if you go back to what we have worked on recently, it's pantomime, musical theatre. You know, there's the dinner theatre, voiceover work. We've touched on that in the past. But as an actor, as a performer, I mean, some people more than others take a risk with that variety. You know, they step out and go. You know, you think, well, I never would have thought that of that actor, or oh, of course they're doing that because they're a character actor, or that is what they do. You know, some people are defined by the one thing they do, and others are defined by the variety of things they do, and things that, you know, that are maybe a risk for that actor.
Well, yeah, I guess so. It's interesting because we haven't spoken about it, but it's hard to ignore the fact that Johnny Depp has been in the media very heavily recently for reasons that I'm not going to weigh in on in any way, because
no, I don't think I will.
I think they're very much more personal, and I'm not sure that the media coverage was, I was going to say necessary. I think it's unavoidable when you are such a huge name or such a personality. But I think it's something that sort of perhaps has gone not the right direction with the coverage. But anyway, that aside, there's obviously been a resolution, or for now there's been a resolution to what's going on, and all I can say is that I believe we have to stand behind the decision of the court, of the jury, of the judge, or whatever, and have some faith that they have made the correct decision based on evidence. We can't weigh in, we can't give opinions, it's not our place to do so, etc., etc.
No, I mean, as you say, it was a personal thing that became big, as you say, simply the nature of the people that you're dealing with. They are public figures. They are, maybe an overused word, but they are stars. They are personalities, and people are going to be interested in what happens to them.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And beyond that, I kind of don't really want to get involved. I don't know that much about Amber Heard's acting career, but I am a fan of Johnny Depp's work. I mean, I know Amber Heard is a good actress. I know she's been in good films. So, you know, I'm not saying I don't know it because I don't think she's any good. But and I suppose you're nudging onto Johnny Depp because he is an actor known for his versatility and his variety of roles.
Yes. Yeah, that's where I was sort of going with that. I suppose actually before we sort of dive fully into that and go on, we should also say that people are aware of the subject matter of what the court case has been focusing on.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to give an opinion. I'm not going to sort of weigh in or say which way I think things are. But if there has been some domestic abuse in some way, let's hope that it has been dealt with in absolutely the right way and will go on to help others who have suffered that, perhaps speak out about it or look for help or ask for help or whatever. So that's the positive that we can hope that comes from this. That any domestic abuse sufferers get their comeuppance, and that's as far as I'll go on it, because obviously otherwise we're going to weigh in on other things.
Yeah, I think we're in it. So I'm just, if anybody's watching me, I'm just bending down because I've dropped something, and my camera's just been slightly nudged. So I'm just rearranging,
sort of vibrating and moving around and stuff.
Yeah,
I wondered if you fancy.
I do apologise. I'm just going to put my hands up here and just do. There we are. No, not quite. Just readjusting my camera, people. I do apologize.
Yeah, this is thrilling watching and even more thrilling listening, I'm sure.
No,
right?
I've done it. I'm stopped now.
You're happy now. You're settled.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm happy now. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we have to leave it to the people in charge. And I have an opinion, you have an opinion, and everybody that watched it will have an opinion. It doesn't actually really matter. It matters to them at the end of the day. And yeah, news is going to be focused on them as it was on the famous, Oscars slap, shall we call it? That garnered lots of interest, and lots of these things are bound to, because the people are in the public eye. And, rightly or wrongly, whatever the opinion, it happened. But I mean, I'd like to pedal back a little bit.
Actually, you did that quite nicely there, mate, because you brought up, obviously, Mr. Smith without saying his name, but he is another one who fits into that very small area of actors. And I am not knocking other actors, but very few perhaps are quite so versatile and have done quite such different and varied roles as perhaps Johnny Depp or Will Smith, and done them well. So you were talking about, you can end up sort of typecast, or people like, for example, and I think he's brilliant, I love him, I think he's hilarious, but Danny Dyer plays basically Danny Dyer in anything he does, because that's what he's good at. And he hasn't sort of gone out there and gone, oh, well, I wish someone would take me a bit more seriously, or perhaps I could do so. But he knows that that's his specialty, so he goes with that. And because of that, he's been very successful, and he's quite a beloved sort of typical Cockney Englishman, and he's loved for that.
I think as well, you sorry, Sam, I interrupted you. I think as well, if you're going to do that, you've got to be good at that, and he is good at playing that Cockney London geezer. People love him for it, and he has enormous charm. So, he's gone, okay, that's what I'm do. I'm good at that, and and that is his career. He's made his name and his career on that, and good luck. Do you think as well, though, that some actors are able, because they have a modicum of success, are then able, because they're financially secure, and their reputation is secure in the business, that they're able to take those risks? Or some, I guess, set out to just be different all the time. I mean, there are actors that go, I'm not going to be, put in a box. I'm not going to be, I suppose it's a difficult thing, isn't it? Because, we have the luxury of doing different jobs and doing different strands. But also there is the thing of the business demands now that actors are a triple, quadruple threat. But also, and I know that you can't stick to one type of work, because you've got to pay the bills. You've got to work. You've got to earn, you've got to earn a living. So there's just kind of two edges to that, isn't there? I mean, I love the variety of work, as I know you do, but also I'm aware that I have to love that variety of work in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right that certain superstars, celebrities, top end actors, whatever, are have perhaps a luxury in that they can pick and choose what they do. On the flip side, I guess you could say that they have to wait for a studio or a production to have the faith in them to do something different. The likes of Johnny Depp, Will Smith, Judi Dench is another good one to mention, can play these hugely contrasting characters. And I think it's enormous skill to that, to do it to that level. I mean, I think, not going back, but Oscar nominations, I think you look at the different kinds of roles Will Smith has been nominated for, they are so different, so very different. Yes. So that's essentially saying that he is top of his game as an actor, but without going, oh, he's the best of the action heroes. Like he's nominated for an Oscar for that because he was so good as an action hero. But he's got almost examples of going, he's just one of the best actors, full stop, which is an incredible thing to be able to say. And again, Judi Dench, but so Will Smith, obviously best known for acting, but also was a singer. Judi Dench as an actress, but also like phenomenal stage actress and also musical theatre background. I suppose you could say the same for Hugh Jackman. So they are perhaps closer to how we would see ourselves, and that sounds hugely egotistical. That's not what I mean at all. But the fact that their variety pushes beyond perhaps characters within one genre or one medium, as in film, whereas Judi Dench and Hugh Jackman and ourselves are doing those on different platforms: stage, film, musical side of things. So yeah, it's they have a luxury in that once you are established and right up there, obviously it's not the same as auditioning for things in the same way. Quite often stuff is offered to you, or people go to you to ask you to do it. Whereas for us, we have to chase down the work, or our agents chase down the work.
Yeah.
But absolutely, we are very lucky that we get to do a variety of things. Very lucky, perhaps, that we are multi-skilled, or have worked at different skills to be able to perform those various different things at a high enough level that we can be employed in them. But also, there is a necessity to it financially and to keep working. I'd love to be able to say to you, all I'm going to do from now on is musical theatre. I just want to be on a stage. I just want to sing, dance, and act. That's all I'm going to do. But my mortgage would probably not be paid if I went, do you know what? This is all I'm going to do now.
This is not going to happen. Yeah.
So
I mean, I was thinking as again of actors that really take a risk, and people go, really? You know, I mean, I remember going way back when Renée Zellweger played Bridget Jones.
Yes,
people were going, why? I mean, and now there's a lot of questions asked. Why isn't an English actor playing? Why isn't an English actor playing American, and vice versa? And that was a really risky thing for her to do, and then bring it right up to date. I mean, she did Judy Garland. Which you think, okay, she's a brave actress, and she's a good actress, but that's an enormous role to put yourself in probably one of the biggest female Hollywood stars of that era, if not the biggest of that era. And you think, with an incredible lifestyle, with an incredible reputation, and you think, really, you're going to do that? Go for it. And she was brilliant. It has to be said, she was brilliant. She knocked it out of the park. But it is an incredible risk. It really is. It's a stunning, but she pulled it off. And I think we take the risk. I mean, there are sometimes I get offered a job and I think, okay, this is a little departure from what I've done before, or I'm going to have to really learn how to do something for this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to have to think about how to play this. It doesn't happen every time. Sometimes you get a role and you think, oh yeah, that fits me perfectly. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the roles that don't always fit us perfectly.
Yes, yeah.
The roles where you step out of yourself, you step out of your comfort zone, and your skill base a bit, or you have to learn, something new. Or even sometimes I do sit there and go, all right, I'm going to jump in the deep end, go for it and see what happens. So then that's where it's exciting. That's when you're calling on all your skills, all your knowledge, or you're calling on the skills and the strengths of people around you that go, I have confidence you can do this. And you're going, great. Well, you're going to have to hold my hand and guide me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's fairly appropriate, because actually we said we were away in Wales last weekend, and that you've been doing some line learning this week. And those two roles, albeit both on a stage in essence, couldn't be really more different for you.
No.
So I don't think we mentioned it, but the show we performed last weekend in Wales was a homage to Mrs. Brown's Boys. And you obviously played the title character. Well, I say obviously, people don't know that. You played the title character. You played Mrs. Brown, which is obviously a man in drag, but not perhaps to pantomime levels, in that everyone knows that Mrs. Brown is a woman played by a man, but no one, that's not the gag per se. I know that's part of why it's funny, or part of why it's entertaining, but I would say it doesn't compare to perhaps a dame in a pantomime, because the in-jokes aren't quite on the same level. I'm struggling to describe this. I know what I'm thinking. You might be able to put it better into words.
Well, for me, it's a different genre. It's a character played by a man, and step away from the panto thing, because that's a completely different genre, and a completely different reason why a man is dressed as a woman. And for me, it's like the character. It's like Dame Edna Everage. It's like Lily Savage. They are characters who just happen to be played by a man, and there's a double-edged sword, because there's two sets of humor in there. There's a female humor. There's the woman saying something funny, and there's a man saying something funny, and then there's cross-hatching that with the man is dressed as a woman, or the woman is a man. It's a character played by a man, and it's an interesting thing, because you can get away with an awful lot as a dame, and the character that Brendan O'Carroll has created at Mrs. Brown, we know what she's going to do, and Dame Edna Everage is larger than life. She's going to say things that the malapropisms, the mispronunciations, the risque things she says. The same with the character of Lily Savage. There's three, and I picked those two because they are larger than life, and they play on the naughtiness, the sauciness of the character. I also think Mrs. Brown, Brendan plays it, and I try and play it with that big physicality. That woman throws herself around, and that's great, because you feel safe. And comedy, if you feel secure, you'll laugh even more. And that you're in the hands of a man who is not taking the piss out of women. He loves women. He surrounds himself by women in the show, Brendan, and here's his wife and his sister and his friends and his relations and his sons and daughters. He loves who he's working with, so you feel secure.
Yeah,
he's not taking the mickey, so therefore you can laugh, because he's loving the sort of woman that Agnes is. He's paying homage to those women who hold families together. Out of which comes this wonderful comedy, and that's the challenge of playing it, because I've got to look as much as I can like that character because of the impersonation and the parody, but sound like her if I can, him if I can, and then bring something to it that people recognize, and then take it one step beyond, because it is a parody and it's a homage, it's a tribute to. I always think of the character, it reminds me of Mrs. Boswell in Bread, the head of the family. And I cannot remember Brenda, I can't remember her name, Brenda Fricker, I think it was, who played her. Brilliant. It's amazing family, and I think I always look at it and go, it's set around most of it's set in Mrs. Brown's Boys is around a table in the kitchen, a little bit like Bread. You've got all this family of crazy misfits taking a chance, whatever, and there's the head of the family is this amazing woman, and that's this like Mrs. Brown's Boys. So and to move on, the character that I'm going to be playing in One Man Two Governors, Charlie the Duck, is he's a 1960s East End villain who's moved to Brighton, and is and that again in the style of One Man Two Governors, this heightened commedia dell'arte farce, modernized to the 60s. That again is another complete technique. So I'm sitting in sort of many stools at the moment and many hats going, am I going to be able to pull this off?
Yeah, and I think it's credit to you that you are able to jump between such different characters, albeit these are both comic characters, so there are still elements. And as you say, the Mrs. Brown character, that it's all delivered with sort of like a knowing wink and whatever, and she does get away with things. It's interesting, actually. We had my good friend Paddy on the show back in season 2, and he's a drag performer.
Yeah.
And he said something along the lines of some of the stuff he says he'd never get away with if he wasn't in drag. It's like outrageous, but people expect that, and it's done in such a way that makes people fond of it, or they find the humor in it.
You've got to like women. You can't play in drag if you don't like. You can't take the piss.
No,
it's got to be done with charm and love.
Yeah,
and that's why
they're the strong characters in that sense. They are the power characters.
Yeah, powerful character.
So you're able to deliver this incredible homage to a well-loved character, and then also almost in the same breath, within a day or two, you're doing this gangster, again, a comedy role, but very, very different. And I think it shows multiple things. It shows, number one, your versatility and your ability. Tip my hat to you.
Thank you, mate.
But it also shows, like we were saying, how lucky we are as performers to be given these opportunities to do such different things. And I think that therein lies the biggest thrill in it, or the thing that just makes you want to keep doing it, is knowing that every day, per se, is going to be different and going to be entertaining and going to prove a challenge. I've got hopefully a film role coming up in the near future, which is going to be an enormous challenge.
Enormous, yes. I think you mentioned this. Yeah.
And it's certainly something I can't talk about yet. However, I am honoured to be given the opportunity to do something so challenging and something so different. And I look back on my career and some of the things I've done before, and some of the faith that has been shown in me by production teams, and said, do you know what? Why don't you do this, or why don't you try this? I think this is something else. So I think it's an interesting way to look at what we do. I think everyone's job has variables in it. Any vocation has different bits to it, but I think very few are quite the same as how we travel through our jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I I agree with you, because there are people that do a job and they have a profession, and it's, I mean, I don't know, a plumber, gardeners, painters, electricians, builders, nurses, teachers. Every day is that they are within that same character, but every day is different. We kind of change our characters, and then every day is different. So and that is the whole nature of acting. That's the whole point of doing it, and the reason we do it, I guess. I was just thinking, you talked about Judi Dench earlier, and it's I love seeing some actors and comedians that go, do you know what? I've done it now. I'm long in the tooth. I'm known for that. I'm going to take a complete springboard and just do something completely different. There was a play a long time ago, and one of our favorite comedians, we've talked about him before, is Les Dawson, and he played, I think it was a character called Nonna, who was a grotesque, she's Spanish, Italian, I can't remember, or Greek, but Mediterranean character. And she was what can only be described as a grotesque woman, grotesque character. And I remember his lovely female character that he would play with Roy Barraclough sitting there, talking over the wall, and Ada, and this was like one step removed. It was an incredible piece of acting, done by a man who you knew was a wonderful storyteller, who also, when he played Ada, and I can't remember the other female character that they played, but loved those women. He'd been brought up by those women. He'd been schooled at the knee of those women. Now, he could only play that grotesque character that he played if you loved women and you knew there was another side of them. Also, it was such an incredibly brave thing to do. From blankety blank to this Mediterranean grotesque. I can't remember what nationality she was, but boy, oh boy, I looked at that and went, okay, that's a hat tip, But then again, Ken Dodd did Shakespeare in his latter years, he was in, you know, he was in the Scottish play. You think, yeah, brilliant stuff, genius, you know.
Yeah, no, we are incredibly lucky to be given the opportunities that we are, and we're also incredibly lucky as general public to have such wonderful performers out there who we do get to see doing completely
brilliant stuff,
varied things, and throwing themselves into things that are new and challenging and different, and more often than not absolutely nailing it for our viewing pleasure. So
yeah, nice. And I lovely. That's a really nice little homage to the joys of acting. I really like that. Was not, really like that. Good stuff.
Yeah, we've been very positive. And speaking of positivity, what have you got coming up, mate, that's going to keep you positive? What's happening next week?
Well, a very, very positive thing is happening, is I shall probably be seeing you in a couple of hours' time, won't I?
Well, yeah, we're off to do another gig together, actually, which is
another gig. That's a really positive thing.
They're going to say, look, the whole point of this is that you couldn't see each other, and that's why it was entertaining. And now you're in each other's pockets,
living each other's pockets. Yeah. No, I mean, next week brings more of the same. Really, it is dipping into the line learning. I've got another some more dinner theatre coming up. A little trip in the jungle as a jungle guide. So, as we've been talking about today, a lovely variety. I couldn't be happier. What about yourself?
So I'm equally getting the opportunity to spread my wings and do various things. I am back in the reviewing seat.
Oh, lovely.
I'm back in a theatre reviewing a musical, which I've actually wanted to see for a little while. So that should be entertaining. So
good.
I'll look forward to that. More immersive theatre is planned. I've got a couple of important meetings for potential film roles, which mum's the word and all that, but
mum's the word, tapping the nose.
And we got another guest coming, mate, haven't we?
Crikey, we have as well. Guy, they come round so quickly.
They do. We're very, very lucky to be treated to such amazing visitors. Also, who epitomise variety, because if you look back over the, I don't know, whatever it is, about 30, 40 odd guests we've had, I can't remember, about 30 guests, I think.
30 odd guests.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The variety of jobs they do, or also some of them, the variety they do just as one person. I mean, Rob Jones springs to mind, who... is there anything he doesn't do? Presenter, singer, performer, musician, writer, actor.
Yeah.
He is another one that is an absolute example that while you can be incredibly skilled in certain areas, in this world of performance, quite often we're lucky enough that we can express ourselves in many different ways and get to take part in a variety of different jobs. And
I think it's I think we're lucky, but also, you know, I think we're lucky to know people that are also willing to take that risk. I mean, it is a risky business to start with, but when you add the added danger of going, I'm going to try that, you know, it's, you know, some people go, what why are you doing that for? You know, you go, I don't know, but you know, it's what would life be if it wasn't, you know, if you didn't just, you know, just chuck it all together one day and go, I'm just gonna shake it all up, I'm gonna mix it all up and see what happens, you know.
And I think we have to be eternally grateful that we are able to do that. We are able to
never take it for granted.
Try something different.
Yeah.
It's we've been very philosophical and very positive.
Very deep.
I mean, we started without insulting each other. We'd managed to get through this whole thing without, I mean, I haven't said once that you're short, old, or technophobic or anything.
No, I've not said that you've been drinking water right the way through this episode because, you know, you're overweight and unfit, mate. I haven't said anything about it.
Oh, I thought I was going to hold that together.
Yourself.
I wondered what
you
was
said
coming.
That yourself. That's Oh, we're plunging the depths now. It's all falling apart.
Oh, it's anarchy has arrived.
Anarchy is falling out. No.
We've hit a point. Well, I suppose then, before it does get completely out of hand and to back to normal, we better go. Well, essentially, we need to go get ready because we're off to do a gig.
Well, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to chuck things in the back of the car, and I'll see you in a couple of hours, mate.
Yeah, I think so. As for everyone else, wherever you might be joining us, and whenever you might be joining us, thanks as always for coming along. Make sure you do come back next week. We've got a fantastic guest joining. Very much looking forward to chatting to them, and of course to you, mate. So I'll raise my anti-fat liquid.
Right, and I'll raise you with the beer.
I'll see you in a couple of hours, Drew. Everyone else, see you next week.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then please consider subscribing to our channel and you'll get notified every time a new video is released. Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app.
Please support us on other social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe and we'll see you next time.